surrendering for the ego, for our human nature, we feel as if we're going to lose something. Surrendering to God, abandoning ourselves to God, or we feel loss. We fear that we lose ourselves somehow. But Swamiji and Master say repeatedly, as do all great masters in their teachings, that the more you surrender, the more you gain of God. Receptivity is about being open to other possibilities, being unbiased, not blocked, not afraid, essentially. And to do that, of course, we have to trust. We have to trust God. We have to have faith that God will take care of us. And here I am talking to people in India. It's the whole basis of this civilization is giving yourself to the divine and spirit being a part of everyday life. You know, I love the fact that in India you get into a taxi and the dashboard is an altar. You don't see that in many places around the world. Not enough. And so the idea of being receptive to the divine is very much a part of your culture. And the strength of that, the power of that, is in keeping it alive. Master said India is the light of the world. And it's no surprise to hear that there is a tradition in this country, you know, in theology and religions in the West, when you study, which I did, theology and philosophy, you always hear about the Old Testament, you know, being some of the most ancient scriptures on the planet. They're about 4,000 years old. But the Vedas in India, and they bring this up too, they used to say they're about 6,000. But now there are people that think they are more than 10,000 years old. And my point is that some traditions that think we've been around the longest, here it really has been around the longest here in India. And why that's important is something that lasts that long has to have something of value. Otherwise, it wouldn't be kept alive. It wouldn't continue. And even in my lifetime, I can, well, not quite, I wasn't alive in the 1920s, but in the 1920s, for an example, I think that's when yoga had its first blossoming in the West. And then it kind of went to sleep again, and it came again in the 60s. That was my time. And then it went to sleep a little bit, and here it is. It's worldwide. You know, there's a reason and a purpose for that. And so even my entree onto the spiritual path when I was very young was before Ananda, was through Hatha Yoga. I was living in New York, and it was through Hatha Yoga. And, you know, immediately your soul responds to this, oh my God, what is this? I want more of this. It's imbued with spirit. It's imbued with God. I wouldn't have called it meditation, but I would sit at the end of my practice every day, yoga, and meditate. It was a natural result of what I was doing. So the tradition of this spiritual path, Sanatana Dharma, it's got what we need. And I mean, again, I'm talking to a room full of people that know this and live this, but it's so inspiring to think of what it is doing in the world today. Everyone is aware of it, and everyone is uplifted by it on some level. I remember a reporter calling our at the at our retreat in California, the Expanding Light, Gyandev, is sort of the leader of the Ananda Yoga, Yogananda's and Swamiji's, the way that they present the yoga postures. And this reporter said to Gyandev, okay, tell me about Ananda Yoga, and I don't want to hear anything about God. And I remember Gyandev saying, well, you can call it spirit, but you can call it whatever you want, but it's in there. Whether we talk about it or not, it's in there. And the reporter's like, what do you mean? Just practice and you'll find out, you know. So even in the yoga postures, even there is surrender. There is, we have to be receptive to God coming in, to light coming in, to relaxation coming in, all of the things of the divine. You know, when you're doing a yoga posture, think space, breathe, relax into space. And even breathe and relax, it sounds like nothing. But the opposite of breathing and relaxing is tension and resistance. We hold our breath and tense when we resist something. So receptivity is the opposite, and it begins even in the most physical aspect of yoga, the postures. Breathe and relax, breathe and relax. So simple, but can save a life. I had a very serious event with my shoulder about 4 years ago. I broke it and dislocated it. After that was fixed, I had frozen shoulders, so I had to go through 2 years of basically torture. There's no other word for it. It was physiotherapy, but it was torture. And I remember when I first went in, because they had to take care of the dislocation first, of course, before they could fix the break. And so I had to wait. It happened about 8:30 in the evening. And the doctor didn't come till 1:30 in the morning. And the friends that had taken me to the hospital said my face was gray, because I had broken this arm once before, and I knew something more than just a break had happened. Because all I had to do before was hold it still, and it didn't hurt. But I could find no place where I wasn't in pain. So my friend said I was absolutely gray from just holding on until the doctor got there. When the doctor arrived, they wheeled me into his office, and he came in and he walked up to me. He was Italian, young, but he spoke very good English, and he said, Uma, you know, he was looking at my chart, so he knew my name. Uma, you have to relax. And I just nodded. Okay. He said, we're going to prepare the room, and we'll remind you again when it comes time to doing what we need to do. So they're fussing around me and doing all what they do. And he came over to me and he said, okay, give me your arm. And I literally gave him my arm. This is what I did, you know. And he took my arm. He said, now relax. You must relax. If you don't, this is interesting. He said, if you don't, you will win. In other words, you'll win this struggle. And if you win, there's a problem. I have to win. You know, he said, I have to win. Because if you win, it'll be more painful. You'll probably cause more problems here. You have to relax. So, relax. Now, what do we do every day? You know, think about our lives here. We energize, right? Tense, relax. So as soon as he said relax, when it was, you know, we were down to it, instinctively and I felt everything relax except these muscles here. They didn't, so I did it again. And I felt it give, and so did the doctor. And he did what they do, and I went, and it was over. At least the first part was over. So even in a situation like that, where I mean, I can't even imagine what you could cause. And obviously, people can't relax enough because he had to explain all this to me. And so there are obviously people that can't and do make it worse. And I can't even imagine. So breathing and relaxing. It's such a simple piece of information, advice for us, but has such profound, far-reaching effects. And it's a part of every meditation. It's a part of every yoga posture. Breathe, relax. Who knew? I mean, really, we don't know until we're confronted with something where we absolutely are up against it, challenged. And there it is. I just can't imagine what I would have done if I didn't have to be able to fall back on in that situation. And it's true in every aspect of life. That's surrender. That's receptivity. We make a habit of it. We make a habit of surrender to God. We make a habit of trying to receive what God is trying to give us. We make a habit of it, and it's always there for us. We don't. We have to use it, call on it every day, as much as we possibly can. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple. Calling to God in the heart, talking to God in the heart. Somewhere in the Gita, Krishna, it's a long cling to, I love the words, cling to me. When you're in need, cling to me. Not just talk to me, come to me, cling to me. Hold on to me. I'm there, I'm here, not there, here. Now, we're the part missing in that dynamic. We forget, we get distracted, we lose sight of the reality of God's presence continuously with us. And I was telling people, I don't even know, I've done so many talks already, but I was telling people that when my first visit to India, I was, and it was here in Delhi, in Gurgaon, and we were going to the mall, what was it, the Metropolitan Mall, and we were on the opposite side of the street, and we needed to get across the street. So we're just walking along, and I just looked, because I was enthralled by everything. It was my first visit here. And there's a little alleyway, dark, two buildings close together, dark, dirty, litter all over the place. Just looked. But down here, close to where I was, down on the wall, there was a little niche, little archway set back, little statue of Ganesha, pure white, marble, white stone, I don't know, pure white, totally pristine, fresh flowers, petals, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I just remember looking and thinking, the alley, God, which is the priority in this country? This was totally taken care of. Who cares about the rest? Such a powerful image of what is here. Always, always. Ganesha, God, is always present wherever you are. It doesn't matter. And falling back on the truth of that is what soul receptivity is all about. Being open to the power and possibility of God right now, in the next breath, in the next breath, in the next breath, whenever it can be, and to not let go of that. Master saying India is the light of the world. I think it's in that possibility. We used to do every year, this is before we were a presence in India, we used to come and do pilgrimages to India. And I remember we used to go to Kashmir at that time, we could. And there was a Kashmiri man who helped us, who was a liaison here, to do those pilgrimages, and his name was Sanjay. And Sanjay was very enamored of Western ideas, and especially dress. He used to wear cowboy boots and jeans and Western shirts and a cowboy hat. He was very cute. And I remember a friend of mine, Durga, once saying to him, Sanjay, why don't you just come to America? He said, I visited, I love it. And she said, why don't you move there? He said, people in America have everything and nobody is happy. I love India, where people don't have much, but everybody's happy. Very serious. He was very, very serious. And it takes somebody, he acknowledged how much he loved the West, but wouldn't want to live there because nobody is happy. And it's really true. The more the masters, the more you have, the more you want, the more it creates desire, which leaves you what? Unsatisfied, totally unsatisfied with anything. Nothing can make us happy when we're in that state of mind. It's a very neurotic state of mind. We keep thinking that something external can fill us up, but the masters repeatedly tell, simplify, make it simpler, make it easier. Only God can fill a spiritual hole. Nothing material can or ever will. And that's, again, the great gift of the philosophies and teachings of this great country. It's Swamiji used to say, it's in the soil. He said, when you step onto Indian soil, you feel it immediately. So take advantage of what is here, always. I mean, all of us. Because what I mean by that is you don't need to be reminded, because it's here so strongly. You're walking by a little dirty alley and there's Ganesha, totally taken care of and worshipped, obviously worshipped. You have to love that and see it, look for it wherever you go, and breathe it, which, again, I don't think you can help here. The idea, the masters are trying to say that we overthink the idea of what worshipping God means. Worshipping God is being open. That's all it is. Being open to the presence of God here and now, wherever here and now is, every here and now. And to respond to that, to always be open to that. It creates deep, deep faith, profound faith. And we want to develop faith above all things. Faith in the divine, faith that I am taken care of, always. Faith that even in the middle of suffering, God is working with me. I mean, I'll never forget you create, when you go through something like I went through, you are... the relationship between you and your physiotherapist is very intimate, because you yell at each other. We yelled at each other. I'd say, no. He had to do it. I called him my torturer. Il mio torturo. And the idea that being that in extremis, that challenged, it's very easy to forget that there's reasons for everything. There's karma, there's reasons. You can be a victim, you can complain, but the truth and the reality is that it's happening for a purpose. There's a purpose here. There's something I have to learn. There's something to overcome. And acceptance, again, it doesn't mean resignation. It means openness, trust. Okay, whatever it has to do. The wild thing was that if I didn't keep going, because it was so tempting many times to just quit. I can't keep doing this. It's too much. But if I did, I wouldn't be able to use this. Let me show you. This is all I could do with this arm. Couldn't move it beyond that. And now? But the point is that you think you can't, and you do, and you keep doing, and you keep trusting, and you stay open. It's incredible to think of how we do it, but we do. All the ladies in this room have probably, most of you, not all, have probably given birth. And I've been present at a couple of births. I've never given birth. And the same thing. Ladies in labor, especially at the ultimate point of labor, they're like, I can't do this. And I remember one midwife saying, my darling, you don't have any options here. Do it again, exactly. So the idea that you just think you can't. I remember one, oh, I can't. I mean, just from her soul, I can't. And the midwife patting her, yes, you can, come on, push, all of that. So the idea, again, that God knows that we're suffering, God knows the heart, and we have to accept, again, not with resignation, you can do it, and God is there with us. There's a purpose, there's a reason. Know that and trust that it will work out. Being receptive to that guidance and that challenge. I mean, loving God and walking the path is not, it's simple, but it isn't easy. But recognizing that and continuing is all we need. Just keep one step in front of the other. God bless you all.